Namaskar. Good evening, everybody. We are holding this program on the special occasion of Christmas on the topic of Christianity, of course. We had made this announcement yesterday on Facebook. ये कल हमने घोषणा की थी कि इस विषय पे हम आज चर्चा रखेंगे और हमारे साथ आप देख सकते हैं कि तमाम गेस्ट्स जुड़े हैं। सभी का परिचय आपसे करवाएंगे। हम जानते हैं कि क्रिश्चियनिटी को रिलीजन ऑफ लव के नाम से प्रचारित किया जाता है, प्रसारित किया जाता है। But was it love that spread from Latin America to Africa to different parts of Asia, where ancient civilizations got almost obliterated? Fortunately, not so much in India, but even here in Jharkhand, almost the entire tribal population is now Christian. When you look at militancy in the Northeast, it is almost fully Christian. Then Kerala is almost half gone. In different parts of southern India and other parts of influence where the missionaries have reached, the native culture is slowly receding. जो आदि सभ्यता है, जिस जगह की आदि सभ्यता है, चाहे वो लातिन अमेरिका का इनका सिविलाइजेशन हो, चाहे एज़टेक्स हो, अफ्रीका के जो भी मूल बिलीफ सिस्टम्स रहे हो, जहां जहां ये गए वहां से वहां की अपनी सभ्यता गायब हो गई और वो ये कह कर गए कि आज तक तुम लोग जो मानते आए हो वो गलत है, वो निकृष्ट है, तुम्हारा भगवान जो है बहुत ही पेगन भगवान है, जंगली किस्म का भगवान है, तुम्हारा विश्वास अंधविश्वास है, हम ही तुम्हें सही रास्ता दिखाते हैं। और बहुत से लोगों ने माना कि हाँ वो सच कह रहे हैं। एंड दे कन्वर्टेड इन ह्यूज नंबर्स। It is more or less believed that while Islam might have spread by the might of the sword, Christianity did not. It spread by love, it spread by persuasion. But we also saw that it spread by inducements. Now the point is, why are we alarmed? ठीक है, कभी कभी हम ये भी कहते हैं कि क्या हर्ज है अगर हम सब मुसलमान हो जाएं। कभी कभी हम ये भी कहते हैं क्या हर्ज है, तो ये भी कह सकते हैं कि क्या हर्ज है अगर हम सबके सब ईसाई हो जाएं। आखिर ईसाई कोई जिहाद तो फैला नहीं रहा है। आइसिस हो या बोको हराम हो, ये लोग ईसाई तो नहीं है। इट्स अ वेरी बिनाइन फेथ, व्हाट्स रॉन्ग इन फॉलोइंग इट। तो इन सब विषयों पे हम चर्चा करेंगे, प्रोज एंड कॉन्स। ईसाइयत ने क्या विश्व को, भारत को कुछ अच्छाइयां भी दी है, ये भी हम एक्सप्लोर करेंगे। इन सभी बातों पर चर्चा करने के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, स्क्रीन में जिस क्रम से दिख रहे हैं मैं उसी क्रम से आपका परिचय करा रहा हूं। अखिलेश गौतम जी विदेश में रहते हैं, लेकिन धर्म के बारे में हमेशा तत्पर रहते हैं, किसी भी चर्चा में अच्छे तर्क देते हैं और बहुत ही विस्तार से उसका विश्लेषण करते हैं। आपका स्वागत है अखिलेश जी। जैनेन्द्र प्रताप अर्कवंशी जी वैसे तो पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से हैं, लेकिन आज का जो विषय है वो चूंकि पॉलिटिकल कम और सामाजिक अधिक है, तो इसलिए मैं आपकी पार्टी का नाम नहीं ले रहा हूं जैनेन्द्र जी। मैं आपको एज ए विचारक, जो आप सेक्युलर विचारधारा का प्रतिपालन करते हैं, उसी का प्रसार करते हैं, उसको डिफेंड करते हैं, तो आज भी आपसे वही अपेक्षा है जैनेन्द्र जी। रचित कौशिक जी सब लोकतंत्र के संस्थापक हैं, बहुत ही वाइडली फॉलोड, ही इज वाइडली फॉलोड ऑन यूट्यूब। और अभी हमारे सामने ही कुछ समय पहले रचित जी आपने ये शुरू किया था, बहुत सराहनीय प्रयास है जिस तरह से व्यंग्य को लेकर आप हर विषय को डील करते हैं, हर विषय के साथ डील करते हैं, उसका अपना एक अलग आनंद है। आपका स्वागत है रचित जी। बम ठाकुर जी हमारे साथ पहली बार जुड़े हैं, इस पैनल पे हैं, हिंदू सेना की तरफ से एक्टिविस्ट हैं और धर्म की रक्षा के लिए तत्पर रहते हैं। गणेश शेनॉय जी गणेश शेनॉय जी कुछ समय पहले तक केरल में रहते थे, अब मेलबर्न ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रहते हैं, लेकिन वहां भी जिस तरह जब भारत में थे तो जैसे धर्म की रक्षा में हमेशा तत्पर रहते थे, वहां भी वो इसी कार्य को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। और हमें समय समय पर उस जगह भी किस तरह की डेमोग्राफिक चेंज हो रही है, यहाँ से भी लोग जा रहे हैं तो क्या बदलाव ऑस्ट्रेलिया में हो रहा है, इसकी जानकारी भी हमें उनसे मिलती रहती है। और अलग अलग विषयों पे उन्होंने सिर्फ न्यूज पे भी और अन्य माध्यमों पर भी बहुत गहरे विश्लेषण, बहुत ही तथ्यात्मक विश्लेषण उन्होंने रखे हैं। स्वागत है आपका गणेश जी। रमेश वेंकटरामन इज विद अस। Ramesh, welcome. He is another scholar we have on the panel today. He has extensive knowledge of different aspects of dharma, and for the past few months he has been explaining one name of Vishnu at a time from Sahasranama on his Facebook wall, and it's also available in his blog. Welcome to the show, Ramesh ji. Robert Rosario, seeing you for the first time on camera. We have known each other for a very long time, and you come across as quite a curious case because when I went through your views for the first time on social media, I was not sure I was actually interacting with a Christian. And so, if you remember, I asked you, are you really Robert Rosario or somebody else? Is this your fake name or is this your real name? And you said, how do I convince you that I am really Robert Rosario? Remember that. Welcome to the show, Robert. Shailendra Dubey, welcome, sir. A journalist, political commentator, and on different social, political, and economic issues. He has been appearing on our shows on both Sirf News and Satyanveshi Bharat, where this program is going live right now. Welcome to the show, Shailendra ji. Taposh Pal ji, you are from Save Bengal. Save Bengal campaign के एक ध्वजाधारी हैं तापोश पाल जी, और बहुत बड़ा इनका फोर्स है। करीब 1 साल पहले मैंने इनके बारे में पहली बार सुना था, और तब से लेकर आज तक लगातार इनकी संस्था जो है ये बढ़ती जा रही है, इसका विस्तार हो रहा है, और बंगाल में इनका कैंपेन भी चल रहा है। तो अभी जो है हमारे यहाँ पर आप देख रहे हैं कि 10 लोगों का ग्रिड बना है स्क्रीन पर, और भी कुछ लोग जुड़ना चाह रहे हैं। तो मैं आप में से किसी को निकाल नहीं रहा हूं, मैं आपको रोटेट करता रहूंगा। तो आप में से कोई भी अगर फ्रेम के बाहर हो तब भी बने रहिएगा, क्योंकि बहुत जल्दी ही मैं वापस आपके पास आऊंगा। सो टॉमस मैथ्यू ऑल्सो इज ट्राइंग टू जॉइन अस, बट आई विल जस्ट लेट हिम इन, एंड देन by then we will start the debate. All right. I come to you first, Shailendra ji. Should we be alarmed at the spread of Christianity across the world, and particularly in India? Should we be alarmed?
Thanks for giving me a chance to become a part of this, important discussion. You see, this is a very wide topic on which we are going to discuss, and we are going to, put our views. If we talk about any religion, this is something which is going to be developed by the behavior of the people, by the, rituals as per the, upcoming physical world. So if we talk about the moral values, then definitely I would support the only Sanatan Dharma, which is going to be scientifically relate with the so many things whose are lying in the nature. But as far as the Christianity and other religions, there are some issues. Why I am saying this? Let's say if any relation is going to be developed between the members, two members, or among the members of the family, then definitely it is not going to be scientifically. Why I am saying this thing, like let's say if someone is going to put some let's say if, some views like how I can say this is something which is not going to scientifically justified. Why I am saying this? Because if we say we are a Hindu, that is the only religion which is going to accommodate that God is only one. Apart from the Sanatan Dharma, all the religions, they are addressing, no, our God is superior. Either it is Christian or Islam or XYZ, whatever. So this is something which I am personally, I am not going to support this, because as far as the history, if a person is going to be under confusion, then like what should be the following, like on what ground we should take the decision. That is the problem. So the question comes like on what scenario we should justify which religion is good, which stream is good. So my submission is the things which is not going to relate with the moral values of a family, which is that is not supportive. This is what
Right.
I only I want
Okay.
to say. That's it.
All right. We have with us another guest, Thomas. Welcome to the show, Thomas.
Thank you. Sorry, I missed the initial part of.
No problem. We have just started.
Okay.
Thomas, let me introduce you to the audience. I have known you for many years, since the Orkut days, and at times I am surprised on Facebook and on other social mediums where you take a very stringent atheistic stand, and in particular you keep attacking the religion that you were born into, and that makes many of us curious. I have even privately messaged you at times why you do that. So if you could enlighten our viewers as to why you take that stand.
So at a personal level, I was going through a period of enlightenment where I was like rebelling against my own religion and so on. But now I feel that I'm more on a kind of a stable ground now. But yeah, so to explain my outlook about Christianity, I think fundamentally the mistake that most people are making is they think that it is a monolith. Like I'm talking about it from the perspective of the history of Christianity in India. So basically, it is not a monolith. It had like different streams which had absolutely no relationship with each other. So, for example, you must have all heard of the Syrian Christian sort of the stream of Christianity in Kerala, which is like pretty old. And the thing about that, the Syrian Christian stream of Christianity was that it was at that period considered as like just a sub branch of Hinduism at that time. And I'm not trying to be politically correct or anything like that. That I'm the last person to be politically correct. So, but that is the truth. If you look at these old churches in Kerala, they were just it looks exactly like a temple, and they have the same kind of the flag post will be there, everything will be there. But then they had some. My understanding is when Christianity came to India, I don't know for sure. There is the story of St. Thomas coming to Kerala and all, which I don't buy myself. I think it is all myth. But then it came to Kerala pretty early, and it was very, very comfortably coexisting with Hinduism and all the religions in Kerala. And it was, in fact, if I look at the history of my ancestors, they considered themselves like just slightly different from Hindus, but it was considered to be just a sub branch of Hinduism, to be honest with you. So that is the oldest stream of Christianity in India. Now, then what happened is in the 13th century, 14th century, the Portuguese came, and that was kind of a muscular kind of the Christianity, and they had their own agenda. Some of it was like business. Basically, they were pirates. Like Vasco da Gama was basically just a pirate, and he kind of
that's a big statement.
Yeah,
he was just
a pirate, but he kind of told the king of Portugal and the ruling class of Europe that he was going to India to find out a lost kingdom of Christianity, and some such fairy tales were there as part of his journey, and that's how he got the sponsorship to come to India. And after he came to India, he started interacting with the Syrian Christian community, and they had absolutely nothing in common. Absolutely nothing in common, to the extent that they hated each other. They kind of, Vasco da Gama came to Kerala, to Calicut, and he destroyed the Syrian Christian books, and he said, you guys have to, join hands with Rome. They were hardly considered to be Christian. They said, you guys are not even Christian, you are like another branch of Hinduism, and they had nothing in common. And so then they started fighting with each other. So, I mean, I think I'm taking too much of time here. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it is not a monolith. And then later on, what happened is the Anglican missionaries came in. And they had nothing in common with the Syrian Christians. Absolutely nothing. They hate. In fact, there is a famous letter written by an Anglican bishop to England, where they said that these Syrian Christians were total barbarians and don't even talk to them. There were other communities that we are more comfortable with, like the Nair community. They had a better relationship with them, and the Syrian Christians, they kind of said, we will not send our children to these Christian schools, and they hid them in the attic. There is a history that these people hid them in the attic and said, no, we are not going to be associated with these Anglican missionaries. So what I'm trying to say here is that, and one last point, what we are seeing in the Northeast today, the problems that we are seeing in the Northeast, that is a completely different branch of Christianity, which came from the US, from America, actually.
We will deal with that with more, with further details in due course. हम लोग अभी तक जिन वक्ताओं ने अपनी बातें रखी हैं, वो एक तरफ की बातें कर रहे हैं, तो दूसरी तरफ की बात सुनने के लिए जैनेंद्र प्रताप अर्कवंशी के पास हम जाते हैं। जैनेंद्र जी, ये जो मयान सिविलाइजेशन हो, सभ्यता हो, इनकास हो, आस्टेक्स हो, अफ्रीका के पुरातन जो वहां की व्यवस्थाएं थी वो है, उनका गायब हो जाना, झारखंड में आदिवासियों का आमूल क्रिश्चियन बन जाना, और जो हम देखते हैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जिस तरह से इंसर्जेंसी फैलता है, वो उसको आप किस तरह से देखते हैं, या फिर आप कहते हैं कि हमें विचलित होने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है? जैनेंद्र जी।
नमस्कार सभी दर्शकों को। मेरा तो ये मानना है कि जो भी धर्म परिवर्तन, अगर आप जो बात कहना चाह रहे हैं मुद्दे पे, धर्म परिवर्तन का नाम नहीं लिया है आपने, लेकिन आप बात वही कर रहे हैं। तो धर्म परिवर्तन जहां तक है, तो उसके लिए तो कानून भी कई राज्यों में बने हुए हैं। धर्म परिवर्तन तो मैं ये मानता हूँ कि अगर अपने मर्जी से, बिना किसी डर, बिना किसी भय, लालच के किया जा रहा है, तो उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। अभी कल या परसों भी किसी बहुत बड़े नेता, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा क्योंकि ये पॉलिटिकल हमारा वो नहीं है, तो कई नेता लोग समय समय पर अलग अलग जगहों पर कहते आए हैं कि हम धर्मांतरण से जो गए हुए लोग हैं उनकी घर वापसी करवाएंगे। तो घर वापसी भी क्या है? घर वापसी भी एक तरह से आप जिसने पहले से कोई धर्म अपना लिया है उसको फिर से दोबारा से धर्म परिवर्तित करवा रहे हैं। तो यही घर वापसी है, और इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है। जो अभी थॉमस जी बता रहे थे, वो ज्यादा मतलब मैं इसे ऐसे मानूंगा जैसे हिंदू धर्म के अंदर भी कल आप जो बात कर रहे थे, शैव हैं, वैष्णव हैं और माता के जो वो भक्त हैं, तो उन्हीं में आपस में लड़ाई होती रहती है। वैसे ही क्रिश्चियनिटी में जो ऊपर के 3 फंडामेंटल धर्म अलग अलग हो गए क्रिश्चियनिटी के, तो उसके अंदर भी उनके अंदर लड़ाइयां चलती हैं। मुस्लिमों में भी के होते हैं, उनके अंदर भी लड़ाइयां चलती हैं। हिंदुओं में भी सभी लोग एक दूसरे को ऊपर नीचे दिखाते रहते हैं। तो मेरा केवल इतना मानना है कि हमें त्योहार मनाने में कोई परेशानी नहीं होनी चाहिए, एक दूसरे के सम्मिलित होना चाहिए, भाईचारा बढ़ता है, यही हमारी गंगा जमनी तहजीब भी है। लेकिन जहां पर बात आती है ऐसी चीजों की कि धर्म परिवर्तन हो जाएगा। उसमें मैं केवल इतना ही कहूंगा कि अगर कोई अपनी मर्जी से जानने समझने के बाद धर्म परिवर्तित कर रहा है तो मैं उसे गलत नहीं ठहराऊंगा। वो उसकी अपनी आस्था है, अपनी आने वाली पीढ़ी को कुछ देना चाहता है या नहीं देना चाहता है, वो उसके ऊपर है।
जी जी, रचित जी, आप मानते हैं जैनेंद्र जी की बात को?
बिल्कुल मानता हूं, और मैं भी गंगा जमुनी चुस्की खाता हूं, बहुत अच्छी लगती है मुझे। पहले तो मैं ये बता देना चाहता हूं कि इसको रिलीजन कहना थोड़ी सी भूल होगी। ये एक पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, एक राजनीतिक संगठन है क्रिश्चियनिटी। ये वो सारे हथकंडे अपनाती है, और अगर इसका आप एक समानांतर उदाहरण देखना चाहें तो समाजवाद से अच्छा उदाहरण कोई हमें देखने को मिल नहीं सकता, क्योंकि वो वोट खरीदने के लिए
जी सॉरी,
लोगों को कुछ
छोटा सा
देते
प्रश्न
हैं।
है,
और यहाँ पर
एक छोटा सा
जी
हाँ हाँ, शैलेंद्र जी
जी
रहा था हमारे पैनलिस्ट जैनेंद्र जी से, ये गंगा जमुनी तहजीब जो आप वाक्य इस्तेमाल करते हैं, बात कर रहे थे, इस वजह से मैं हिंदी में पूछ रहा हूँ। गंगा जमुनी तहजीब आप वाक्य इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो इसका मतलब क्या गंगा या जमुना, इनमें से कौन सी जो रिवर है वो रिलीजन को रिलेट टू दैट, जमुना इज रिलेट टू इस्लाम और क्रिश्चियनिटी और विच रिलीजन? व्हाई दिस सेंटेंस इज कमिंग?
हाँ, क्योंकि गंगो जमुनी तहजीब में मेरे ख्याल से ईसाइयत नहीं आती है।
नहीं, इसमें देखिए
सरस्वती जोड़ना पड़ेगा।
गंगा जमुनी तहजीब से मतलब ये था कि जो हिंदू मुसलमान का जो भाईचारा है, सेम उसी तरह क्रिश्चियनिटी भी हमारे देश में कोई आज से नहीं है, बहुत पहले से, लगभग 6वीं शताब्दी से है। ठीक है, और जो मस्जिद
यमुना
भी हमारे
जी क्या मुसलमान है क्या? यमुना रिवर क्या मुसलमान को रिप्रेजेंट करती है क्या?
यहाँ पे
you know, it is used metaphorically,
ये कहूंगा कि देखिए, जो दोनों ये धर्म थे, ये पहले केरला में ही आए थे।
Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb is an allegory. It's used as a metaphor. From what I understand is that most Hindu kingdoms were based along the banks of Ganga, and the Muslim kingdoms that followed in the medieval era were based along the banks of Yamuna, which was where you know, this metaphor or this coinage came from. I think so. Yeah.
ठीक है। मैं
रचित जी अपनी बात पूरी कीजिए।
जी मैं कह रहा था कि
इंग्लिश में भी बोलिए ताकि सभी को समझ में आए। हाँ,
okay, so what I was saying about the parallel between communism and Christianity is that the communists buy votes by selling dreams, and the Christians buy religion or buy people, export or import people based on 5 kgs of rice. So there is not much of a difference that I see in Christianity and a political organization. As far as taking it as a religion of peace is concerned, so someone quoted the Bible here, and I think we just need to read few pages of Bible to understand whether it is a religion of love or hatred. And that is in theory. In practical, what we have seen in the Inquisition of Goa, what we have seen in the Northeast, what we have seen in the jungles of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh and all, even in Maharashtra, the Palghar was a melting point for which. So we will clearly see that it is not a religion of peace at all, but it is religion of love at all. So it is nothing but love.
Okay. Now that reminds me about an incident. I have to turn slightly political in the sense that I have to cite certain things that were said during the Palghar lynching episode, because right after that, a government, the Home Minister of Maharashtra, Anil Deshmukh, had said he had displayed a list of accused. उन्होंने कहा था कि देखिए, इसमें से कोई भी दूसरे धर्म के नहीं है, और वो सभी अखिलेश जी, बहुत एक अजीब सा परिदृश्य हमें दिखता है Even Thomas can come in on that. Thomas, if you remember one of my old Facebook posts, if you look at the martial art actors in Hollywood, for instance, and even some from other parts of Asia, take for instance Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa's real name is not Tony Jaa, right? And there are other martial artists whose names sound like Christian, but they are not Christian. They may be Buddhist, right?
No.
On the other hand,
I understand.
On the other hand, while in India, I often tell my friends I know a Reverend Mukherjee in Calcutta. Mukherjee does not sound Christian at all. So my question is on the international arena. In the international arena, while even people who are not Christians are given Christian names just to project how acceptable the religion is across cultures. On the other hand, in India, there is an attempt to hide the Christian identity. For instance, Ashish Nandi. No one can figure out from the name that Ashish Nandi is a Christian. So what is the agenda? Why is a section of Christians hiding their names, hiding their real religious identity? You do not want to, they do not want to alarm Hindus that they are spreading.
Yeah, so I understand the question, but I don't know much about these Mukherjee, that kind of the cultural thing about that. I'm not very sure. But what I can say is, as far as my expertise is with Christianity in Kerala, where I am from. For example, my name was supposed to be Ramacha. Okay, my name was Ramacha because my forefathers were all Hindus, and this was the name of a forefather of mine, Ramacha. And a lot of people have adopted this name because it is not out of of any need to hide their identity, but it is because of a certain love towards your ancestry and so on. For some people, at least for the folks in my family, they all, they are all kind of a hybrid between. I'm talking specifically about the Syrian Christian community. They consider themselves like 80% Hindu and 20% Christian kind of. And I'm not making this up because this is the problem. This is the big misunderstanding. See, Christianity is not a monolith. Okay, what is happening in Northeast has absolutely nothing to do with what is happening in Kerala. See, Northeast, what happened is these, gun-loving Southern Baptists, that church is called Southern Baptists, who are now the big supporters of Donald Trump and that kind of, white nationalism, that kind of people. They came to Northeast and they brought in a kind of a gun culture, and they have their big fascination with the Second Amendment and things like that. But that is one thing. And the kind of people that have a Christian kind of Hindu kind of a name in Kerala, that is really their name of their ancestors. They're taking up the name of their ancestors. In a lot of cases, it has nothing to do with they trying to hiding their identity or something. But I'm sure there are some people who do that. I'm not denying that at all.
Right.
But in case like my grandfather's name was Ramacha, and I was supposed to get that name, and I tell my father, if you had given me that name, I'd be a very happy person. So this is so that's the thing. That the thing that I am trying to tell here is that it is not a monolith. It's a very complexly different kind of streams are there, and there is genuinely a stream of older Christianity which is very comfortably coexisting with Hindus, and that is 100% sure. And all these conversions and all. Okay. It started with the.
Let's see how Akhilesh sees this scenario. Akhilesh, why do you think Brett Lee should be, sorry, not Brett Lee, but why should Lilian Jie be Jet Li? If you say Lilian Jie, no one will understand who I am referring to. Or if I say Panam Voravit, no one will understand I'm referring to Tony Jaa.
Exactly. Surajit, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to congratulate you that on a very auspicious day of Christmas, you are launching a kind of muhim, you can say. And this was actually was the gap. This was actually on the Facebook, on the social media. Nobody was actually challenged the Christianity, the conversion mafia, which is happening for the last so many years. And this is actually on one hand, when we're targeting the Islamic and the other things, which is actually very, very explicit. Okay, they are doing some things explicitly, but Christianities and the Christian, the evangelist missions which are working in this country, they have been working for the last, I think, 10-15 years, which started from 2004 onwards with the UPA era more proactively. And it really has become a cancerous proposal. It has actually taken up a very cancerous.
Why do you say that? What is
Yeah.
wrong if all of us turn Christians? What is wrong with
Exactly,
that?
exactly. The very, very precise question. Now, what exactly is wrong? I'll deal in the two level. One, the most important level is this: Sanatan Sanskriti is a mokshgami Sanskriti. This is very fundamental. Everything can be debated, everything be, but the reason is this: when you are a Sanatani, you are anyhow, implicitly, explicitly, some way or the other, you are aiming for a moksha. You are aiming for a mukti.
Salvation.
Salvation. Okay, I would not like to.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not like to actually create salvation, but it will have a different connotation. But let me give a precise word, which is a mukti and the moksha. So the mukti and the moksha, every jeev, every atma is actually striving for a mukti. Now this is precisely opposite to the Abrahamic sects. The Abrahamic sects are actually contained on the course that yes, you are born once, you have a linear life, you will die, you will rest in peace, and then eventually the day of judgment will come when you will be resurrected. Okay, so that is so the lifespan of a Abrahamic jivatma is very, very linear, right? But as a Sanatani, we have a cyclic and a spiral wave of life cycle. That is very, very integral part of it. Now, second aspect which I want to give it, many people, I do not know, agree or not agree. Abrahamic sects are born out of the, because in Hinduism, we know that there are three layers: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. If we try to understand technically, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are there. Abrahamic sects are born out of one layer, which is the Yamatmak layer of only the Brahma. So they only reach up to the Brahma, Yamatmak layer till the Brahma. That is why. So this is where this is kind of a religion is concerned. Now, Brahma is a generative force. Now, Brahma is a generative force, and the generative force inadvertently, if it is not supported by Rudra, by Mahesh, then it leads to cancer. This is a biology. That is why any mentality which is Abrahamically monotheistic, either it will turn eventually into atheism, or it will actually go into a cancerous propositions wherever it is, whether it is
Europe. Hold your thought there. I'll take that to Robert. Robert, come in on this. How do you look at the scenario in Mangalore? You're still living in Mangalore, right? Yes. Okay. Now, the questions that arise from what Akhilesh has said is, when we, first of all, I want to deal with this as well. I've been hearing this term Abrahamic faith for about a decade or so. I hadn't heard of it, though I knew about the lineage of Abraham. But when we say Abrahamic faiths, Judaism should also be included in that. But we don't see Jews on an expansion spree. We never see Jews trying to expand beyond Israel, or any other parts of the world that they are in. They have never tried to threaten the local culture. What happened in the evolution of Judaism into Christianity and from Christianity to Islam, that suddenly this conversion became the mainstay of the religions that emerged from the Middle East. Yeah.
Abraham is actually the forefather for all the three religions. He
Right.
is considered the forefather by Jews. He is the forefather considered by Christians. He is also the forefather for Islam.
Right.
So earlier everybody were Jews. Some section split into Christianity, and Christianity actually started targeting Jews. For them, the biggest enemy was Jew till recently. Now maybe in a decade or so they have stopped it, or maybe even continuing. Even up to 40, 50 years back, Jews were mainly targeted by the Christians. And then came after 500, 600 years Islam. He targeted both Jews as well as Christians and said, I am the only right person, I am the only last messenger of God. So this Abrahamic religion means all the three religions, ancestry comes to the same. And when you say religion, someone said here it is not a religion. Actually, it is a religion, but it is not a dharma. The difference between dharma and religion is there is a vast difference. Hinduism is a dharma. It has evolved over the time. It is a value system. So even a person without God can be a dharmic person, but it is impossible in a religion. So religion is basically political philosophy. Any religion is
Thomas and Robert, wouldn't you be excommunicated for saying such things?
Let them try. They would have, if they could, they would have done about 10, 15 years back. I think now it is too late.
Because what I see in Delhi, Ramesh, what I see in Delhi is Christianity is also an ecosystem. It's not just because, you know, I have had neighbors from Kerala, all Christians, and tenants. They were not house owners, and their tenancy, those houses were provided by the church. You know, they came from Kerala. They approached the local church of the denomination that they belong to, and the father there facilitated the process of getting the house. Not only that, once in a while when like there is some dispute between the landlord and the tenant, in all such cases, the church came to the rescue of the particular Christian person who was in some kind of a trouble. Right? We do not see temples building such kind of an ecosystem. Yeah.
No, I mean, can I come in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this conflation, you know, this conflation of Christianity into a monolith is the problem. Because again, I'm emphasizing that. For example, let's take the Syrian Christian churches in Kerala. So if today somebody wants to convert to that particular church, they will not welcome you at all. You cannot convert into that because it is like a, you know, like they are like the Jews, like you are born into it and you are never a part of it. It's like so again, so there is this history in Kerala where I think it is in around the 1930s, I think 1920s or 30s, when there was this huge community of backward caste people who had some issues with the Hindu community, and they had the temple entry problems and all. So they came together and they said they want to join the Christian church, the Syrian Christian church. And the priest in that, and the bishop in the church said, don't join, okay, because we don't.
All right.
So again, what I'm trying to say, and they formed a different organization called, they are called the PRDS, the Pratiksha Raksha Deva Sabha, they're called. And they are like a quasi-Christian Hindu kind of. So what I'm trying to say is, again, what I'm trying to emphasize is, there is no such thing as, my point is, there is not even such a thing as Christianity, okay? If you ask, like, let's say, an evangelical Christian, they will say Catholics are not even Christians. They will say Catholics are not even Christian. If you ask, you know, some of these Southern Baptists based in America, they don't consider Orthodox to be Christians. They don't consider Catholics to be Christians. So that's the problem here. Okay,
we will deal with the different denominations because similar arguments are given about Islam also. You know, the Deobandis, the Barelvis, some of them revere the mausoleums, whereas the other sect does not. Then there are Shias and Sunnis, which everybody know about. Yeah, Ramesh, complete your point.
Yeah, I think, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the key issue, I think the first question that Surjit asked about, should we be worried? I think that is the, that's the important question that needs to be addressed, and I don't think was addressed enough. And I certainly believe that we need to be worried. I'll just give you an example. We are 40 minutes into the debate, and none of us, or even if you look at it, even the Prime Minister, anybody mentioned that today is also Gita Jayanti as well as Vaikunth Ekadashi. I think this insidious nature in which we forget our own cultural, roots and our own things, and we think about, and we are so happy, wishing people. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be wishing, but that is an important this one. And in terms of I was just driving down today, and I switched on the All India radio because I want today. This happened today because I had to listen. I wanted to listen to the Pradesh Samachara, which is the Kannada news, so that you get local Mysore news updates.
Mm-hmm.
Soon after the news ended, there was a program where on the occasion of Christmas, where two things were mentioned. I just mentioned these, and I want the panelists to respond to this. This is Akashvani Mysore. This is a government station, All India Radio, and he says that there is I think he's a pastor or whoever. He's saying that that it's like a conversation, and it said so why is it that there is a lady who is asking a question? Why is it that Jesus had to die for the sinners? That's the, and he says you will find all the answers in the book in Kannada. He says called Satya Veda, which is also known as the Bible. Now, in one word, by prefixing Satya to Veda, your Veda has become Asatya.
Yes.
Right. This is what worries me. And then the second thing he says is Satya Veda, yes. Appropriation. And the second word he says is, before the Satya Veda existed, what existed was the Dharma Shastras. And he says the Dharma Shastras are the laws of Moses. Now, in just one, this one, he has done two things. One, he is, touched upon the fact that there are several people who have been told that the Dharma Shastras are bad, they need to be burnt. We know that. He's done that, as well as he has said that since the Dharma Shastras is referred to as the law of Moses, and the Bible, comes after the law of Moses, and therefore Christianity is a more modern kind of religion that we should be looking up to, kind of a thing. Just look at how nicely it's put. This is the single biggest problem that I see. I studied in Christian schools and colleges for close to 12 years, and I've seen at very close quarters how insidious and how carefully all of this was structured. We suddenly would be would be asked to come to the church just before an exam, and we say, let's all pray together, and we would know very, very, very and if you observe carefully, we'll know what the prayer is about. So I think the single biggest,
what you're saying, Ramesh, what comes across from what you're saying is a very sinister method of letting the local culture, the native civilization subside, and the letting Christianity take over that space, right?
Yeah. Now, and just add a couple of points here, because when I used to go to school, my mother had this habit of we call it vibhuti, that is the sacred ash that we used to apply.
Right.
And I remember there used to be a person at the gate who used to say, I think you should wipe it off. And I used to do that, not knowing. I was maybe 10 years, 12 years old before entering. It was so carefully done. And we must also read very, very carefully. I think the biggest mistakes that one of the biggest mistakes that Hindus do is they don't read missionary literature and writings. I'll just quote one of them. Missionaries actually, if you read very carefully, praise Islam in India for, and I'll quote, for cleansing the world of the scourge of idolatry and preparing the way for the reception of a pure faith.
Right.
So essentially, when people say that, Christianity, Islam are fighting, arguing about, but at the end of it, both these religions are actually subsets of a larger global order. They don't really, for us
By the way,
Hindus, this is the only country.
The people who do not know world history, they may be reminded that when the communists have tried to eliminate Pope John Paul II, the Catholic Church and the Islamists of Middle East and Mediterranean area had together, had come together to fight communists. There were even assassination attempts on the Pope, if you recall, by the communist regime. And since they were atheists, but there are different global aspects to which we need further deliberation.
Yeah.
Ganesh,
And the one,
there are two aspects that I want to bring to you. Ramesh, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, sure.
Ganesh, two aspects that I get from the panelists so far. And I have a different concern, which some of my friends keep flagging. The kind of discussions we are having right now may not be advisable. Some people say that is number one. Why? Because they say you cannot open two fronts in a war. We are in a clash of civilization against Islam. You cannot make Christians your enemies too. Because practically, the United States is a Christian country, France is a Christian country, United Kingdom is a Christian country. They may call themselves secular. Okay? Now you need these countries to be by the side of India in, say, fighting Islamic terrorism, for instance. You cannot turn everybody into an enemy by saying Islam and Christianity are, equally wrong. That is number one. Number two, the issue that Thomas highlighted, that Christianity is not a monolith. I have a counter question to that. Take, for instance, Javed Akhtar, lyricist Javed Akhtar. He calls himself and takes pride in atheism. He calls himself an atheist. Thomas calls himself an atheist.
He calls a cultural
regardless of what denomination of Christianity or Islam you belong to, and even when you are an atheist, politically you are on one side. Have you observed that, Ganesh?
That's right. So
when it comes to taking a political position, let's say on political affairs of the country, even an atheist who was born in a Muslim family or a Christian family is on one side.
That's correct. So,
right.
First of all, I would like to respond to the second point you made of that Thomas made about Christianity not being a monolith. So we have to look at it from two angles. We have to look at it from the perspective of a person who is within the Christian denomination, and to that person, Christianity is not a monolith, which is correct. There are different denominations of Christians. There are Catholics, Jehovah's Witness, there are Mormons. Then there are Southern Baptists, there are Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. I can list 100 denominations that I myself know of. And all of them are different and they all fight with each other. There's no doubt about it. So that is for a person who is from within the denomination. But you have to look at it from the perspective of a person who's outside the denomination. For a person who's outside, all of these people get together and attack relentlessly the person who's outside. So the thing is, when I look at it, when I look at the Christian religion, it doesn't matter if you're a Mormon or if you're a Catholic or if you're a Jehovah's Witness. All of them attack my religion in an improvised way. So they all have different methods of attacking non-monotheistic religions, and they all relentlessly attack. None of them are friends of politics. None of them. And I would also like to add a couple of other denominations to this mix. That is what Srijit was talking about Javed Akhtar and all that. So the atheists who exist today, they look at atheism from the perspective of Abrahamic atheism. So the today's atheists, which I see on Facebook, the Atheist Republic and all that, they are what I call Abrahamic atheists. Because when they attack, they always attack based on the points of atheism. When they attack other denominations, and then socialist, communists will also come from the same denomination. They all believe in the same type of world order, which comes from that Western monotheistic philosophy. Although communism and socialism are godless religions, but their fundamental structure is kind of the same as of these.
How?
And Srijit, I forgot the first one.
The other question is.
So the thing is that.
The other question was, should Hindus raise the concern about Christianity as much as they are concerned about Islam? Because we cannot open two fronts in a war. We cannot turn everybody into our enemies. Yeah, Thomas, I'll come back to you. Yeah.
So the answer to that. So the answer to that is we have to remember that that the Christian religion is not our friend. The Christian religion is not our friend, and even the Islamists and the Islamic religion is also not our friend, and so even atheists are not our friend, not our friends. So we don't have to openly declare a war on Christians and Christianity, But we have to remember that the only way to stop this attack on Hinduism and on the animistic beliefs and the Sanatan beliefs and the dharmic beliefs is by strengthening those from within. That is the way to counter Christianity. But we have to also remember that the attacks come not when the attacks come on dharmic religions, they don't come with the label of Christianity. So, for example, if you look at the Diwali greetings, even the Hindus that send you he sent me, in fact, the Diwali greetings always come with the label, "Let us celebrate pollution-free Diwali." So the Christian attack that has come on with the label of environmentalism.
Okay.
So we have to remember to recognize this as coming from as coming from an Abrahamic structure, or Abrahamic frame of structure, because that come with Christmas.
Yeah. Yes, Thomas. What do you agree and disagree with? Yes.
So this is the thing that I disagree with, because there is no such organized movement or such coordination or anything like that between these churches and these different fragmented Christian churches. And like, I'll give you a small example. I tell everybody, okay, I have lived in India most of my life. I've lived in the US for a short period where I was sent for deputation. Other than that, I lived in India most of my life. Not even a single Hindu has ever, discriminated me as a Christian or even mentioned it. It's not even mentioned. But I was studying in a Christian school and I belonged to a different denomination, and I was treated very badly there because I didn't belong to
there's some kind of a caste system, right? Some kind of a caste system.
Not exactly. Oh my God, caste is there. Caste is very rampant. But in this situation, it was a question of denomination. Their church had a school, and I was coming to that.
But
church.
I have a query. Thomas, I have a query. If, say, I am a Christian and I look at your name, Thomas, how do I understand what your denomination is?
That's a very complex thing. So if I am from Kerala and I have the name Thomas, usually I am from the Syrian Christian kind of the community.
Okay.
So, but it has become very fragmented now. See, but my disagreement with, I think, who was talking, Ganesh, is that people looking from outside, I also have the same thing about Islam. I think they're all plotting something. I don't think so. I think it is all, a mess. Okay, the same way Christianity is a mess. Like, the problems in Kerala between the Orthodox and the Jacobite community.
Yeah. But the issue, Thomas, the issue that I had taken to Ganesh was an instance. Take, for instance, in political issues, on political issues. CAA, for example, the citizenship law. At least the Christians should have been with the government because it protects Christians also.
They did actually. That's exactly, good point. The Syrian Christian churches, the Syrian Christian, I'm not in favor of CAA, but that's my personal opinion. But the Syrian Christian churches, they supported it. You should listen to some of the bishops of the Canaanite church and the Orthodox churches. They all supported it. So that's the thing. It is not that
because the plight of Christians in Pakistan is as pathetic as that of Hindus.
Not just that. Not just that. Now in Kerala, you're seeing that the Orthodox and the Orthodox churches are getting very close to the BJP. So what I'm trying to say is, it's for a person looking from outside, they think we are all are plotting some kind of major. I don't. That is not my experience, because I have more in common with my Hindu friends than probably I have with a Christian friend, and it's very complicated. And I understand the concerns with conversions and everything. It's something that I really understand, and I know the kind of destruction that Christianity did in South America. And I'm one of those people who say that should never happen in India. But what I'm trying to say is, there is no global coordinated conspiracy theory, or nobody is capable of coordinating like that. That's my understanding.
Okay, I get that. Taposh, come on this, and I'll ask a question which is directed at the linguistic community that you and I belong to. Bengalis are often accused of being too woke, too accommodating, too tolerant, too pluralistic, too multicultural, etc., etc., etc. And, even in yesterday's program, I spoke about Ramakrishna Mission celebrating Christmas. When I was discussing the structure, the architecture of the ISKCON temple in Mayapur, which looks like a church. But one thing that we observe in Bengal, which, resistance did not help, but fluidity helped. Christianity failed to spread in Bengal. Despite the fact that maybe Bengalis by and large find Christianity cool, maybe St. Paul's Cathedral is one of the biggest attractions of Calcutta. Even I have been there. I loved the building.
After Taposh answers that,
yes.
After Taposh answers that,
blogs and articles by evangelicals and other Christians who say that our mission has failed. Our mission has failed. Taposh, how do you look at this?
See, I don't know much about the Kolkata churches and how they have failed on this. But what
how
I
many
can
times
see,
have you been to a church? Have you been to a church?
no,
Never.
no.
You know Hindus who go to churches, at least maybe for tourism, if not for devotion.
Yeah, I know few of them. Yes.
What do you think of them? What do you think of them?
What can I say? They are going there.
You're
They
not
are
sure.
love to go there. So that is their choice.
Yes, Ramesh.
Yes, Ramesh.
yeah,
Yes,
specifically on the point of
Janendra ji,
the
मैं आ रहा हूँ।
Ramakrishna Mission.
आप ही की बारी आएगी।
Specifically on the point of the Ramakrishna Mission, specifically on the point of the Ramakrishna Mission celebrating Christianity. No, I'm in the sense I've been closely associated with the Bangalore ashrams,
Okay.
the ones in also. And I specifically posed this question because, for a long time when I was young, I spent a lot of my learning time, with during my school days with two young monks there, Shankar Maharaj and Shekhar Maharaj. I still call them that. They're no longer in Bangalore. They're in the Belgaum ashram, both of them. And I specifically posed this question because, we were all of the same age group and I could, quite comfortably speak to them. In fact, when Sri Swami Ranganathananji was the head of the Bangalore chapter, the Atma Bodha, they used to conduct classes together for me as well as for both of them together. That was the kind. So one of the things he said, has remained with me. He said, one, the reason they do it is that, it was something that Swami Vivekananda initiated. So there's no way they're going to be stopping that. No matter what anyone says, they will not stop. That is the first part. The second part, they said, is look at it like this. And this, made a lot of sense to me. He said, look at how the puja is conducted. And I've seen the puja. He says, this is the
Right.
way, it's been converted into, Jesus is almost, during the Christmas celebration, is almost converted into a Hindu deity. If you look at it,
Okay.
it's kind of, he's almost absorbed into the this one. And this
But
is a kind of absorption that's happening.
Ramesh,
This is what
sorry
this-
to interrupt.
yeah.
Wouldn't you look at it
Yeah.
as a double-edged sword? Because Christians, those who want to spread Christianity, are doing the same thing. When Shivratri comes or when Janmashtami comes, they make murals and greeting cards, etc., where almost everything looks Hindu except that the image of Jesus is superimposed on that of Krishna or of Shiva, or even of Hanuman.
Absolutely. No, I'm not defending this. I'm just saying what is the standpoint of the Ramakrishna Ashram, and there's no point in discussing this because they're not going to change. I mean, I can
Right.
say this with as much confidence as probably the people from the Ramakrishna Mission themselves. So that
This
is the
was
second
one
point.
aspect where this was one aspect which I was very heavily pained, and I'll just say one thing.
No, I
look
completely
like as a
agree.
very stupidity.
No, absolutely. Now, in the present situation, continuing to do this in the light of what is happening, the way everything is happening, is absolute stupidity. And if I may say so, even if Swami Vivekananda would have been present today, I don't think I think he himself would have stopped it, given the kind of person he was and the kind of people only selectively quote him, but also we must also look at how he says about how Muhammad stumbled upon the truth and kind of thing, about how he spoke about Islam and Christianity and the kind of dangers that they pose to the dharma. I think if he was there, he would have stopped it. But I think the present day, I think none of the ashram, after the first three and the group that was closest to Ramakrishna, Sri Paramahamsa, there's no one who's actually been even anywhere close to any of them. I think that itself is an indicator of why nothing is changing there.
जैनेंद्र जी क्या कह रहे
थे? I completely disagree with what they're doing. Continuing.
Okay. जैनेंद्र जी.
सुजीत, मैं केवल इतना बताना चाह रहा था, जो आपने पहले टोनी जय या दूसरे लोगों का नाम लिया कि ये लोग बौद्ध हैं या दूसरे धर्म से हो सकते हैं, और भी कई लोग, लेकिन इन्होंने क्रिश्चियन नाम अपना रखा है फिल्मों के लिए.
नहीं रखा, इन्होंने नहीं रखा, इन पर आरोपित किया गया है.
हाँ, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ.
इनको हॉलीवुड ने नाम दिया ये सब, इन्होंने खुद नहीं रखा.
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, इन्होंने खुद नहीं रखा है. मैं वही बताना चाह रहा हूँ, ये केवल मार्केटिंग और सेल्स के लिए वो नाम दिया गया है साथ में, जो अगर
ग्लोबल फील्ड में वो मार्केटिंग कर रहे हैं और भारत में वो छिपा रहे हैं अपनी आइडेंटिटी. भारत में
यहाँ पे मैं दूसरी चीज नहीं बताता हूँ. राइट,
ये उल्टा क्यों हो रहा है? वहां एक स्ट्रेटेजी, यहाँ दूसरा स्ट्रेटेजी.
ये उल्टा नहीं हो रहा है. ये देखिए, ये सेल्स और मार्केटिंग का अलग अपना चीज चलता है, अपना तरीका चलता है. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ भी कई हीरो हीरोइन, एक बार शायद हम लोगों ने इस पर डिबेट भी की थी, आप भी थे, तो हीरो हीरोइन का आपने नाम लिया था, दिलीप कुमार हो गए, मधुबाला हो गई, कि ये हिंदू नाम से आ रहे थे. उस समय जब आजादी 42 या 43 से दिलीप कुमार थे, आजादी से पहले से वो फिल्मों में
करता हूँ. मैं अंतरराष्ट्रीय क्षेत्र से एक तुलना कर रहा हूँ. जूलिया रॉबर्ट्स हिंदू है.
हाँ, मैं वही
उनका नाम नहीं बदला, हमने उनका नाम नहीं बदला.
हाँ, मैं वहीं पे आ रहा हूँ. वहां पे भी कई
बुद्धिस्ट है, उसका नाम नहीं बदला गया.
नहीं, मैं वहीं पे आ रहा हूँ.
लेकिन वो
अपने नाम क्यों नहीं बदला है? क्योंकि वहां पे कम हो जाएगी. जैसे ही वो कहेंगे कि हिंदू है, जैसे ही वो कहेंगे कि मेरा ये हिंदू नेम है, तो वहां पे उनकी पहुंच कम हो जाएगी. ठीक है, अभी उनको जूलिया रॉबर्ट्स, आप देखिए, आपके देश में अगर फिल्म बेचनी है तो हिंदू नाम ले लो, तो रख लो, तो वो सही है. लेकिन एक ग्लोबल में जहां पे सबसे ज्यादा जनसंख्या ही क्रिश्चियंस की है, वहां पे क्रिश्चियन नेम लेके अगर कोई फिल्म बेच रहा है अपनी, तो वो आपके लिए गलत है. तो ये दो अलग अलग पैमाने हैं. देखिए, ये नहीं चलता है. अब रही बात जो बंगाल की आपने बोला था, देखिए बंगाल में जो सत्ता रही वो बहुत दिनों तक कम्युनिस्ट की रही. वहाँ ऐसा धर्म का कुछ ज्यादा रहा नहीं. आपको पता है,
रामकृष्ण मिशन तो बहुत पुराना है, कम्युनिज्म से पुराना है.
रामकृष्ण मिशन पुराना है. रामकृष्ण मिशन ने अभी लास्ट शायद 3 और 4 इयर्स बैक में एक बार ये भी कहा था कि हमें अपने अलग धर्म बनाने की आज्ञा दीजिए. इसके लिए उन्होंने भारत सरकार को लेटर भी लिखा था, रामकृष्ण मिशन ने.
कल आप इस्कॉन को अलग करना चाह रहे थे, आज रामकृष्ण मिशन को अलग करना चाह रहे हैं. आपका एजेंडा क्या है?
जो उन्होंने लिखा है लेटर, वही मैं बताऊंगा. कर्नाटका से जो रमेश भाई थे वो बता रहे थे, कर्नाटका में इन्हीं के बहुत बड़े गुरुदेव हैं जिनके शायद 20-30 लाख फॉलोअर्स हैं. उन्होंने भी एक लेटर लिखा कि हमें अलग धर्म चलाने की, मतलब अलग धर्म की संज्ञा दीजिए. तो ये देखिए, ये थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे ये होता है कि उनको लगता है कि शायद संविधान की वजह से, जिसमें कि संख्यकों के नाम पे स्कूली शिक्षा, मतलब हम देख सकते हैं, तो हो सकता है इस वजह से साथ में उनको कुछ सहूलियतें सरकार की तरफ से मिलती हैं.
आपको भी लगता है कि इसी वजह से हो रहा है?
नहीं, बिल्कुल, मैं वही बताना चाह रहा था. और
क्योंकि जो अभी
पर्सपेक्टिव मैं इसका साथ में लेना चाह रहा था, जो हमने से बहुत लोग हैं जिनको ये तकलीफ नहीं है, ये भी मानते हैं कि कोई कॉन्स्पिरेसी नहीं है, कोई ऐसा इकोसिस्टम नहीं है जो सनातन के विरुद्ध कोई साजिश कर रहा है. तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूं कि जो गोवा इंक्विजिशन हुआ था, जो ट्राइबल एरिया में हमारे देश में जितने नरसंहार भी हुए हैं और संस्कृतियों के संहार भी हुए हैं, उसके प्रति कितने लोगों ने माफी मांगी है, अपॉलॉजी दी है, चाहे वो रोम हो या फिर भारत के जो चर्चेज हों, या भारत में जिस भी प्रकार से परसिक्यूशन हुआ है रिलीजियस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, उस पर उन्होंने कितना सनातन का साथ दिया है। वो भारत की संस्कृति में घुल मिलकर दिखाना तो चाहते हैं कि हम आपका अप्रोप्रिएशन कर रहे हैं और आपके साथ मिल रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके जो मूल तत्व हैं उस चीज पर वो खामोश हैं। इससे पता लगता है, इससे पता लगता है कि वो पूरा सतही रूप से काम कर रहे हैं।
जी जी, क्योंकि हम कार्यक्रम के अंत की तरफ जा रहे हैं, इसलिए मैं अभी आप सभी को थोड़ा थोड़ा समय दूंगा। जो प्रश्न उठ रहा है शैलेंद्र जी, ये जो रचित जी कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने कभी माफी नहीं मांगी, मैं इसके लिए दोष स्वयं को देता हूं, अपने लोगों को देता हूं, भारत को देता हूं, भारत की सरकारों को देता हूं। If all of you may consider one instance, for instance, whenever there is a Japanese delegate that must visit China, it must first apologize for the wartime atrocities, and only then it is allowed to enter China. हमारे यहाँ हम कभी सुनते नहीं है कि अगर बर्तानिया से कोई आता है तो पहले जलियांवाला बाग के लिए माफी मांगो तब घुसो हमारे देश में। हमने कभी सुना नहीं है ऐसे। हम इंसिस्ट नहीं करते किसी से कि पहले माफी मांगो नहीं तो अंदर नहीं आने देंगे। शैलेंद्र जी। शैलेंद्र जी, आप म्यूटेड हैं।
He's muted.
You have to unmute yourself. I think you have muted yourself. I can't unmute you.
I'm doing it. Am I audible to you now?
Right. Yes. Now.
Am I audible to you now?
Yes.
Yeah. So because the time is short and you have raised the interest, so now I am come up with some facts worldwide and the solution where we should go. That is more and more important. You see, we talk about the population very quickly. Christians are somewhere around 32% worldwide. Islamists are somewhere around 23%. Hinduism around 15%, and unaffiliated they are somewhere around 16%. So the point is, I'll give you one example. Let's say our mother. If we call to our mother, mother, please give me some food. So she'll gonna to greet you. She'll gonna to give you a humble response. In the other way, if we call to our mother, the wife of our father, look, wife of my father, give me the food. So the reaction may be totally different. So what I mean to say is, there is only one dharma, which is a Sanatan dharma. Later on, as per the requirement, as per the the Christianity, I call it the religion of a dream. Islam, I call it the religion of utility. Nothing else. Why? And what I'm seeing in coming time, the worldwide, the population of Islamists will go up. Maybe 60% or 70%. Maybe all of you may not be agreeing on this, but I feel like it. But why? Because
despite such a bad press that Islam gets worldwide, it's so difficult to market Islam these days.
Yeah. But I'm giving scientific. I'm giving scientific. I'm giving scientific submission. In Islam, there is a liberty to keep the 4 women. Every human on this universe fond of having sex. If someone going to offer the freely, legally, you can have the liberty.
It gives Islam gives man the freedom to romp around.
Who will going to deny this?
Yes. That's the chief
exactly, sir. Exactly. So in nutshell, what I mean to say, the attempt on our living, tendency, the human tendency. So this is what to the world in a very negative direction. So we, at the last, we all have to be careful. We are by our name only. If I am Shailendra, means only Shailendra. If you are Surajit, means only Surajit. And the problem that created due to the caste was a region of the caste. That is why it is all going to be happen like this. So we shouldn't be getting into all this. Ultimately, we all are the human beings. That is the more important.
Robert, mercifully, we do not have these kinds of sanctions in Christianity. Nevertheless, even if we do not have any Christian padre or Proctor, saying that not only your 4 wives, but also in the language of Zakir Naik, also whom your right hand possesses.
Yeah.
Who can you have sex with your wives and with someone who your right hand possesses, as the Quran says. Mercifully, we do not have something like that in Christianity, and yet there is worldwide, especially in Europe, terrible scourge of pedophilia among the clerics.
By the clerics.
This is a huge
even in
issue.
India, even in India.
What do you think prompts this kind of deviant behavior?
Because absolutely, they are not accountable to none. ये इसी मनोस्थिति से मानसिक स्थिति से आता है. When you are accountable to someone, then you will be hesitant. When you have absolutely freedom, you have absolute freedom to do anything. You are accountable to none but to the God, and God is in your pocket, so you can do anything. So any crime you commit, it's all with the sanction of God. I am doing it.
Right.
Then it ignites such behavior. I just want to add one point here. बातों बातों में इंक्विजिशन की बात आई और आपने क्षमा की बात भी की, लेकिन मैं याद दिलाना चाहता हूँ कि परसों 3 दिसंबर को ये फ्रांसिस जेवियर का फेस्टिवल मनाया जाता है. फ्रांसिस जेवियर है गोवा के नहीं है, फिर भी गोइंग सो साइड. अभी देखिए गोवा का टूरिज्म डिपार्टमेंट गोइंग सो साइड करके ट्वीट करता है, रिमाइंडिंग द फेस्टिवल गोइंग सो साइड, एंड ही इज द बिगेस्ट परपिट्रेटर हु ब्रॉट इन द इंक्विजिशन, and the nationalistic government of Goa wants to celebrate in big way. I tweeted to the Chief Minister of Goa, do you have any shame? Do you know the history of Goa at least? If you had sense of history, you wouldn't have done this kind of blunder. आप तो क्षमा की बात करते हैं, क्षमा की बात तो बहुत दूर, पहले इतिहास जानिए अपना.
राइट. हम अंतिम चरण में हैं अपने कार्यक्रम के. गणेश जी, मैं पहले आपके पास आता हूं. ये इतना सब कुछ जो हो रहा है, जस्ट अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ, इतना सब कुछ जो हो रहा है और क्रिश्चियनिटी से हम लोग घबरा रहे हैं, जबकि इसकी जो उत्पत्ति हुई, द जेनेसिस, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द क्रिश्चियन आइडिया ऑफ जेनेसिस, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द जेनेसिस ऑफ क्रिश्चियनिटी. It is seriously doubtful that it started just when Jesus Christ died, or whatever you call that.
Yes.
He was crucified, he was laid to rest, he resurrected, whatever you call that. But in the year when this millennium, when the first millennium started, Anno Domini, at least for about 300 years, there was no Christianity.
Yeah.
Suddenly it popped out of nowhere. It was unlike Judaism, it was unlike Islam.
That's true.
Something that some people conceived. I do not know from the Shroud of Turin. I don't know where they got this idea from, but the idea was very powerful.
Roman Emperor Constantine idea is this.
So we talk about Jesus of Nazareth. The word Nazareth comes from Nazarenes, and even Jews had a concept of Nazarenes.
Yeah.
So there were ancient civilizations that had parallels, just like Hindu Indra. Indra is supposed to be a cognate of Thor, and Greek gods and Roman gods and so on. So maybe at some point of time in ancient history, of which we do not have a direct evidence, India and Europe were one civilization. Maybe that's speculation. But yeah, what do you think made Christianity such a powerful force?
So I'll just borrow some knowledge which I gained from my viewing of Sri Sanjay Dikshit ji's program, in which he discusses the same topic. So the thing about Christianity, right? It's a religion that keeps reinventing itself. It never stops. The thing is, the way Christianity works is that they have a aim that they need to convert everyone. I'm not talking about individual Christians. I'm talking about the people who are in power in this Christian religion, in different denominations of church. So their aim is to harvest all the souls, and they're relentless in that. So
Right.
they keep reinventing themselves whenever they meet a barrier. When they hit a wall, they reinvent themselves. And this is exactly what happened in the first century also. So if you compare the history of Jesus, the characteristics of Jesus, right? You compare that with something called Horus. Horus was a animistic god, and everything about Jesus is same as Horus. So for all intents and purposes, Jesus didn't exist. Even Jesus was adopted by Christians to spread Christianity. So this is a religion that keeps usurping traditions from other religions, and it reinvents itself in a new form, and it keeps growing. And today it's doing it in the form of environmentalism and other forms. It has even become atheistic now. It has even dumped Jesus to expand for all intents and all intents and purposes. But the thing is,
Right.
the whole purpose is to decimate the native religions where it goes, and then impose itself until it then decomposes from within.
Yes.
That's how it grows.
But what is very ironical, Thomas, what is very ironical, despite such a formidable force that Christianity is, it could not, somewhat like Buddhism in India, it could not sustain itself in the Middle East. For all practical purposes, Middle East belongs to Islam now. And the most powerful Christians of the world today, the Europeans and the Americans, it's not their own philosophy. They borrowed it from Asia.
So this is something that I am very interested in. So basically, what you should understand is that Jesus was a Jew. Okay, Jesus was an Aramaic-speaking Jew, and he did not write anything. He did not
Yes.
establish a church. He did not do anything. Okay, he was just like a social reformer inside Judaism kind of thing, and he
Yes.
was an Aramaic-speaking Jew. Okay. But then what happened is that Christianity, all the early works of Christianity was written in Greek, Koine Greek. It was written in. So whether this, the establishment or writing of all these books has any relation to Jesus is a very interesting question, because the kind of Christians that were present in the first century AD, they all disappeared. They were the Ebionites. Some sects that you have never heard of existed. And then in the first century, we don't have any books, these Greek books. First of all, why they were written in Greek instead of Aramaic is a question that always I don't
Maybe
understand.
because of the resemblance to Aramaic Greek.
Yeah. From the 3rd century, suddenly all these books are coming, and there is the Emperor Constantine, the first Council of Nicaea, and everything. So, although there's a little shrouded in mystery, you're absolutely correct about that. But one point that I want to make is that there was always a big conflict within Christianity itself, because ultimately the Orthodox branch of Christianity.
You made that point. Yes.
Yeah. No. In the 3rd century, I'm talking about the 3rd century. What happened is that all others were literally killed by Emperor Constantine. Their books were burned. See, there was a branch of Christianity called Gnostic Christianity, which was very similar to Buddhism. Very similar. They were literally killed off by the time of Emperor Constantine, because they were considered as heretics. And these Gnostic priests, they buried themselves with the books in their hand to stop that being burned and so on. So, as you said, it is all a little complicated kind of thing. One small point I want to make is, somebody said that, I think Ganesh said that Christianity is kind of evolving. It is into environmentalism. Absolutely not. These priests don't care about any of these environmentalism or any progressive things. Like if you talk about global warming, some priests might be interested, but others are like, well, this world is going to be burned, and a new heaven and new earth. So they don't care at all. It's rebels like me within the framework of Christianity who are, they inverted commas, that are trying to get them interested in it, but they have no interest in environmentalism or global warming or anything like that.
जैनेंद्र जी, ये बताइए कि जैसे बहुत प्राचीन काल में हमारे देश में कुछ साधु संत होते थे, जंगलों में तपस्या करते थे, साधना करते थे, और रामायण में भी इसका उल्लेख है कि राम जब लक्ष्मण को कुछ ऐसे साधुओं से मिलाए जिनके बारे में तत्कालीन समाज भी जानता नहीं था कि ये जंगल में पड़े हुए हैं, उनके बहुत सारे अनुयायी भी नहीं है, वो राम के दर्शन के लिए वेट कर रहे थे, राम के दर्शन हुए और वो स्वर्ग सिधार गए। ठीक है, धर्म तो ऐसा होना चाहिए ना कि कितने आपके फॉलोअर्स हुए आपको उसका कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। आप अपने मन से उपासना कर रहे हैं, साधना कर रहे हैं, भगवान के दर्शन हुए और आप स्वर्ग सिधार गए। ये क्या तरीका है इस्लाम का? और मतलब इसका, जैसे आप एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से बिलोंग करते हैं तो आपको अच्छा लगता होगा अगर आज आपके 1000 सदस्य हैं, कल को आपके 1 करोड़ सदस्य हो जाए तो आपको अच्छा लगेगा, लेकिन वो पॉलिटिक्स है। धर्म में तो ये नहीं होना चाहिए ना कि भाई मेरे पास 1 लाख अनुयायी है, उसके पास 1 करोड़ है, तो मुझे उसको ओवरटेक करके जाना है। ये क्यों होता है?
देखिए, जब क्रिश्चियन धर्म धीरे धीरे इवॉल्व हो रहा था, 353 में पहली बार शायद ये मनाया गया था अपना क्रिसमस डे, उसके बाद से चला आ रहा है। तो जब 732 में मोहम्मद साहब की डेथ हुई, उसके बाद से मुस्लिम धर्म भी आ गया। तो करीब करीब 9वीं 10वीं शताब्दी से इनके बीच में, मुस्लिमों और क्रिश्चियन धर्म के बीच में आधिपत्य को लेके लड़ाइयां होने लगी। लड़ाइयां जब शुरू हुई तो इनको क्रूसेड नाम दिया, और 1300 में, जो अभी आप बता रहे थे कि 1300 के नियर अबाउट ओटोमन साम्राज्य ने अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, कुछ यूरोपियन कंट्रीज, पूरे आज का जो खाड़ी देश हैं वहां पर, और इधर रशिया के कुछ कंट्रीज पर उन्होंने पूरा एक आधिपत्य जमा लिया और तुर्की को उसका राजधानी बना लिया था। तो ये लड़ाइयां कोई आज से या आज के समय में नहीं चली आ रही हैं। ये लड़ाइयां इससे पहले भी, जब क्रिश्चियन धर्म इवॉल्व हो रहा था,
फिर ये राजनीति हो गई ना, ये अध्यात्म नहीं रहा। फिर अध्यात्म में तो आपको परवाह ही नहीं होता है कि आपको कितने लोग फॉलो कर रहे हैं।
नहीं, ये लड़ाइयां यहाँ भी हुई हैं। मतलब मैं कई बार ये भी बोल चुका हूँ कि
भगवान से मतलब है ना, कितने लोग आपको देख रहे हैं।
भगवान से तो मतलब है, लेकिन मैं यही आपको यहाँ भी बोल चुका हूँ कि अशोक ने, या अशोक के बाद क्या हुआ, पहले जैन धर्म, जब कोई राजा आता था तो जैन धर्म अगर उसने अपना लिया तो अपनी प्रजा पे वो पूरा थोप देता था। अगर बौद्ध राजा ने अपना लिया,
जब उस राजा का शासनकाल समाप्त हुआ तो वो चला नहीं, वही चीज। लेकिन इस्लाम में और ईसाईयत में ये खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा। कितना एक्सपेंड करेंगे और कितने देश चाहिए उनको, और कितने सारे सिविलाइजेशन को वो हड़पना चाहते हैं? अखिलेश जी,
Yes, I would like to really bring a very
ये प्यास नहीं बुझ रही है, भूख नहीं मिट रही है। क्यों?
एग्जैक्टली, भूख इसलिए नहीं, दो कारण है। मैंने पहला कारण तो यह है कि इसका जो आध्यात्मिक तत्व के रूप में मैं देखता हूं, ब्रह्मिक फोर्सेस विच आर द रीजनरेटिव फोर्सेस, वो दे आर ऑलरेडी बाय नेचर फॉर हॉरिजॉन्टल प्रोलिफरेशन। अब एक आप चीज बताइए, जैसे आपने बोला कि वो जो साधु था, वो जो साधक थे, जो रामचंद्र जी ने जिनको लक्ष्मण को मिलाया, वो कारण क्या था? क्योंकि उनके अंदर एक वर्टिकल जाने की, एक पीक पर जाने की अभिलाषा थी, उसको उनको प्राप्त करना था। अब एक आप, यू बिकम अ क्रिश्चियन एंड यू बिकम एन अब्राहमिक और अ मुस्लिम, you just have to abide by certain 10 commandments, you just have to abide by certain things, and you are complete, your goal has been achieved. Now understand one thing, इस कलयुग में आप इमेजिन करिए कि मेरे पास बहुत सारी बीमारी है और मैं बहुत कर्जे में हूं और मेरे पास जॉब नहीं है, और मैं किसी हिंदू देवी देवता के पास जाता हूं, तो हिंदू देवी देवता आपसे बोलेगा, बॉस ये तुम्हारे कर्मों का फल है, तुमको उसको भोगना पड़ेगा। फिर मैं काम करता हूं, मैं एक पास्टर के पास जाता हूं, पास्टर बोलता है कि भाई तुम्हारे पापों का कर्म तो जीसस क्राइस्ट ने ऑलरेडी लिया है, ही हैज ऑलरेडी टेकन ओवर, तुम आ जाओ, सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा, यू आर गारंटीड हेवन। तो वो आदमी बोलेगा ये तो सही है यार, कौन दिमाग बच्चा है? बिकॉज यू नो सनातन धर्म इज अ कॉम्प्लेक्स, इट वांट्स टू टॉयल यू टू द लास्ट थिंग। आदमी मींस जब भीष्म भी कहे थे, तो भीष्म को भी, yes, he was there on the bed of arrows, not because just for that, because he wanted to bleed each and every of his life curve, ताकि मेरे जीवन के जितने जन्मों के भी जितने हैं वो सब निपट जाएं, अब मुझे दोबारा जन्म लेना ना पड़े। So to understand the complexities, which the basic thing is this. Now, because we don't have a time span, I'll just take 1 minute. This is a very important kind of a debate, and I hope that Surajit ji, you continue kind of a debate. Christianity needs a much better, faster, focused attention in India. So why? Because I think is this. I would like to take it forward from Ashish Dar when he says Christianity is not what you are seeing it on the field getting conversion, but the kind of the Protestantism which is impacting the secularism of the country. It has impacted the constitution of your country. It has impacted the bureaucracy of your country. It has impacted your army. It is not a small thing. It is not a small danger. It is a bigger danger than Islam.
And it has not extricated people from the kind of misery they had expected.
They will never. It will never. It will never. It will convert you. It will
Africa.
It will convert you from one misery to another misery. It will only convert you from one misery to another misery.
They spread their faith across the continent, but then did not care about its economic condition, about the uplift of the poor, about even mainstreaming them in society. Ramesh, last word to you.
So last point is secularism. Last point is secularism.
Completely run out of time. Yeah.
Last point. So secularism itself is actually a prelude to kind of an Abrahamism. So the moment you are a secular, you are just one step ahead or one step away from.
I think we need a separate episode on that. We need a separate episode on that. Yes, Ramesh. Final word.
Yeah, I think we can't separate the two, because I think we have to worry about Christianity as much as we worry about Islam. I think because in one sense, if you look at it, Christianity is in one sense Islam without Muhammad. There is so much commonality if you actually look at it. If you look at the Quran, all of the prophets that all of them are acknowledged. Jesus is mentioned several times in the Quran itself.
Yes.
And any religion any religion that says God can only be known through a chosen intermediary, a sole begotten Son of God, or the last prophet, will never accept a religion that is as open and a dharmic landscape that is as open as ours. So we have to seriously worry about that. I think that
perhaps the ancient Latin Americans did not worry about that, which is why they are such a basket case today. It is almost, despite such potential. Thomas, we have completely run out of time. I wished this could continue for another few hours, but we'll meet again. I promise everybody, I promise all our viewers that we will meet again. We will have subsequent episodes on the issue.
They should continue.
Other aspects of the issue that we could not cover in this, even in fact more than 1 hour. Thanks a lot for being with us. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि हमसे जुड़े. हमसे यही स्नेह बनाए रखिएगा. हम पुनः आपके पास आएंगे इन विषयों को लेकर और भी कई विषयों को लेकर. आपका हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. जय हिंद, वंदे मातरम.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Jai Hind.